welcome to Books, Brews, and Besties. I'm Kaylee.
And I'm Jenny.
And we have our brew. Do you?
Ew. Ah! Don't be dropping your juice all over the book.
I'm so sad. Okay.
Yours not like shiny. You don't have shiny one. I have shiny one.
No, I know. We talked about this last time, how
Did
yours was
we?
different than mine.
Oh.
And I was not happy about it.
Is that the penis? No, that's beautiful.
But I saw that, so the Bookish box had their Members Day sale, and they had their From Blood and Ash series that I've been freaking wanting, and it was sold out. No.
Oh.
And it was sold out before I could get it, but I have the Kingdom of Flesh and Fire ones coming. I ordered those, so I wanted the From Blood and Ash ones, and I'm hoping that with the new book that comes out, they'll redo it.
Okay.
So I'm still hoping to get it, but as of right now, I missed my opportunity, and I'm really upset. Anyways, all of that to say, this is not going to be my only copy of the book.
Wow, don't you have another copy of that one?
Not this one.
Oh, really?
I have 2 souls, I think. 2 Fire in the Fleshes. 3 Fire in the Fleshes.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I have a lot. Anyways, today we are going to be talking about chapters 21 through 30 from Blood and Ash.
So much happens.
This is a cray-cray part.
So much happens. It goes slow, and then it's just like, so much happens.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop after that.
No.
I feel like it's just gung-ho from here on out. Which I think this was like my favorite section of the book, because this is where just chaos just happens, and it doesn't stop, and it only gets worse.
2/3 of the way through the book now.
Yeah.
So there's like 100 or so pages left, and yeah, just fire.
Yeah.
Everything's on fire.
This was a lot, but I couldn't stop reading, and I had to force myself not to go on again. Every time, it takes forever to actually start this because I was reading so many other things.
Yeah.
And I started today, and I went through all 10 chapters in just like a couple hours.
Yeah, you did.
And that's with like writing notes and everything, which takes the longest time. But I was like, I just can't stop because so many, like, it's so good.
I know.
And it just hooks you every time. But yeah, I think this is definitely my favorite section. Like, obviously, in our other episodes, I've had favorite scenes and stuff, but this is my favorite section of the book.
Okay, I love it.
So just like all the other times in our other episodes from Blood and Ash, we are going to do chapter by chapter summary, and then we're going to go back into them and talk about favorite quotes, favorite moments, any foreshadowing that we see or pick up on, all that good stuff. So there won't be any spoilers through the chapter by chapter summary, but there might be when we start going kind of more in depth and talking about maybe things that we've seen or picked up on.
Yeah.
So chapter 21, Poppy goes to the Athenaeum to get the book Lauren and Defina were discussing in the last chapters, Miss Willa Collins' diary, which we all love this diary.
Yes, we do.
When she realizes she chose to sit and read in the Duke's private room, forcing her to rush onto the outside ledge when she hears the Duke coming. While trying not to unalive herself, she hears the Duke speaking with someone, a man, about a dissenter who threw the craven hand. His name was Lev Baron. The Duke and Mystery Man leave as we learn that the Duke will ensure the dissenter does not live past this night. When they exit the room, Poppy moves to sneak back through the window until she hears, "You still out there, princess, or have you fallen to your death?" Which is good old Hawk, and I just cannot. She gets inside as Hawk wraps his arm around her, pulling her close in the name of who knows what she might do. But it quickly turns more sensual as he caresses her cheek, gearing up for a kiss, perhaps. And the chapter ends with her admitting to herself that she wants him. Chapter 22. This chapter does not start with a kiss like poor Poppy thought. In fact, it starts with Hawk questioning how Poppy was able to leave her chambers. He finds out about the servant's entrance and the truth about how she stabbed the attacker on the night Rylan was killed. Things switch over to why she was on the ledge, which brings attention to the diary. Hawk snatches it and skips a few pages before teasing Poppy. The Penelope that he does, or that I like picture that he does when it says that. Always makes me laugh. But anyways, we also learned that Hawk has been in love before, long ago, he says. We go through some chef's kiss banter before breaking into the next day, and that is the day of the rite. As Tawny, Victor, and Poppy arrive at the rite, she notices the Duchess speaking with a priest and a royal guard as the families ready their children to serve the gods. And then this chapter ends when Lord Mazine enters into their little chatting chat that they're having. Chapter 23, Lord Mazine threatens Poppy that another lesson will be in her future since the priestess is angry. Victor steps in and breaks up the moment, but not before Poppy picks up the smell of jasmine on Mazine, making her question Tawny what flowers were in Melissa's room when she died. What is that word? I wrote sorking. I think that's supposed to be sparking confusion between Victor and Tawny over what was running through Poppy's mind. Agnes interrupts, requesting to speak to Poppy alone. Victor obviously says that's not going to happen and escorts both women into the corridor away from the ears inside of the rite, where Agnes thanks Poppy for the help with her husband's passing, as well as insisting Poppy stay safe, leaving both her and Victor just feeling a little bit off. Victor thinking there's something Agnes is not saying. With Hawk still not present, though, Victor can't go after Agnes for answers. So they return to the rite, where they see the Duke still has not arrived. The Duchess speaks to Poppy, reminding her she is not allowed to socialize. This leads to Poppy telling Tawny to go have fun, even if she can't. Because, like the Duchess said, Poppy's not allowed to socialize or fraternize or do anything. After Tawny heads to the dance, Poppy and Hawk head back to her chambers, or so she thinks, and he offers to take her to the gardens instead once they leave the rite. Poppy agrees, takes his hand, and they head out to the gardens while calling him a bad influence. This chapter ends with his response of, only the bad can be influenced.
I know.
Chapter 24. This chapter is just a lot. This is the Underneath the Willow Tree chapter, and I'm here for every second of it. Not only does it start off sweet from Hawk sharing with Poppy that he also had a special place like the gardens are to her that was ruined by the loss of his brother and best friend, but Poppy also opens up to him about her feelings with the death of her parents, not seeing Ian, and of course what happened with Rylan in the gardens. It's a deep moment where they both let the other inside, and it's just beautiful, I think, because it kind of shows how close they're getting and how easy it is for them to talk to each other. Then Poppy steps back after a caress from Hawk makes her feel a little bit too much. Hawk then offers to show her his new favorite place, which is the Willow. It's dark, they're covered, and he pulls her onto his lap. Things are heating up when he gives her permission to stab him if he does anything she doesn't like. She reminds him she's the maiden, and he comes out with, I don't care what you are, I care about who you are, which melts. And then Poppy asks Hawk to kiss her, and that's how that chapter ends. And if you're not like giddy and smiling, I don't know what's going to make you. Chapter 25, they kiss, and they kiss. And if it's one thing that Jennifer L. Armentrout knows how to write, it's a first like real kissing, because I know they did stuff in like the Red Pearl, but this was like their first real kiss. So just the way that she wrote how like all that tension and wanting just kind of explodes into what they did, it's just glorious. It becomes so heated that Poppy is getting more confident and aggressive with her kisses in return and wandering hands and tongue that Hawk is the one to stop things before they go any further. Upon leaving, which they both confess neither wants to do, they run into Victor. Victor and Hawk get into it, both laying down threats and getting in each other's faces, although when Hawk does it, he mentions Poppy's name, which then makes him stop mid-threat to Victor to let her know that's the sixth time he said it, before continuing his threat to Victor. And after that, Victor started to escort Poppy to her room, dismissing Hawk for the night. Victor started lecturing Poppy about his dissatisfaction, and Poppy snapped finally, letting go of all the feelings she's harbored, and even letting slip that she wanted to be found unworthy, which I'm proud of her for doing.
Yeah.
This moment was followed by screams and chaos from the Great Hall. Poppy rushed toward the screams knowing Tawny was there, Victor following, cursing as she evaded him. When she reached the Great Hall, she saw the Duke with his cane through his chest, and the words, "From blood and ash we will rise," written above him with his blood, the Dark One's mark. Chapter 26. As Poppy looked at the Duke's murdered body, Victor came up to her. She had to stifle a laugh as she spoke to him that the Duke was really dead, which I think we can all kind of understand what that feeling is like.
Yeah.
As relief washed over her that she was through with his lessons and abuse. As they look upon the scene, glass shatters and pure chaos ensues. Glass falls from the broken windows down onto the crowds of people, killing Defina and others. Then arrows start flying, killing even more. As Victor calls out to protect Poppy, the maiden, she grabs Tawny as all available guards make a barricade around them, only to be swept away by masses of people flooding inside the Great Hall to flee from an attack coming from outside. The group gets ripped apart and Poppy tries to find those she cares about. She finds Lauren and tries to save her until an arrow finds the back of Lauren's head, dropping her. Finally, Tawny, Victor, Poppy, and the commander group up and head with the Duchess to a gathering room where the Duchess demands they wait the attack out. Lord Mazine is among them. It didn't take long for the attack to reach the room they used as a safe haven, and hell broke loose again. Victor and Poppy attacking after the room doors were broken down, Tawny even assisting Poppy by breaking glass over one of the dissenters' heads. The fight rages on until they kill the remaining attackers. They all go to move to a safer location when Victor informs the Duchess that he trained Poppy and that Poppy has made him proud. The tender moment broken as an injured dissenter throws his sword and hits his target, which is Victor.
I know.
Victor falls along with Poppy, who tries to catch him. The dissenter rips the sword out, but before he can strike again, is killed by Hawk, who arrives with more guards.
Yes.
Victor apologizes for not protecting Poppy and asks for forgiveness before he dies. Poppy struggles with the overwhelming feelings and is unable to ease his pain with her gift. Lord Mazine then makes a snide comment on how Hawk tried to comfort her, and that's when we see Poppy truly break. She slices and hacks into Lord Mazine until Hawk drags her away. The chapter ends with her, I think, being knocked unconscious, because it just says that she, drifts off. And before we move to the next chapter, I just want to say that scene was also really well done.
So well done.
I almost can't even put into words how much I think that was just perfectly written, especially with the constant "forgive me, I have failed you" playing back in her mind and stuff as everything's happening.
3 pages goes on, and that's incredible.
It's so powerful. So yeah, anyways, chapter 27, time jumps a week and a half forward. We learn she's been in and out of consciousness, missing all of the funerals, including Victor's. And that Hawk had used the pressure point to make her go unconscious that night of the rite. He also removed the sleeping draught from her room so that she couldn't keep taking it, and that he was at the Radiant Road the night that it all happened because the dissenters set the homes on fire to draw out the guards, because in the previous chapter, everyone was wondering where he was. The beginning of this chapter goes through a lot of what Poppy is feeling and having to come to terms with now that she's awake. And then Hawk comes in and they speak as he reminds her it's okay that she may be feeling everything, and it's also okay for her to not be feeling anything. And I think in that moment, she really needed to hear that and kind of have that validation. He then tells her that the Duchess is summoning her because there's been word from the capital. The Duchess informs her she's being sent back to the capital the next day, and to my surprise, probably the only moment I've really liked the Duchess, tells Poppy not to waste a single moment thinking about the Duke or the Lord. And just based off what she says in this chapter, it kind of makes you wonder what it must have been like for her.
Yeah.
Chapter 28. This chapter starts off with Poppy and Hawk arguing over Tawny traveling to the capital with them. Again, this is a lot of back and forth banter, which is just amazing and cute. In the end, Tawny assists Hawk by letting Poppy know she can't go. After everything that has happened, it not only terrifies her, but there won't be anyone there to protect her. Poppy will be the priority, not Tawny. They gather the next morning. Hawk and Poppy are alone at first, where he gifts her the dagger Victor had given her. Then 6 guards and 2 others Poppy doesn't recognize show up. She realizes one is Kieran, who she remembers knocking on the door at the Red Pearl. 2 others are Phillips and Eric, and they are 2 members that she played cards with also at the Red Pearl. They all make acquaintances before setting off. Chapter 29, they've begun their ride and have been going at a hard pace for hours. When they finally slow, it turns out that Luddy, one of the huntsmen, was in watch for barats, which is just giant crazy rats, pretty much, the size of boars. Seemingly the only thing Poppy is afraid of so far. After the conversation dies down about the boar-sized rats that eat people, Hawk asks for her to get something he brought that's in the saddlebag. When she reaches down and pulls the item up, it turns out to be Miss Willa Collins' diary. After a little time, they reached the edge of the blood forest, then entered. Noting that the temp dropped, bones muddled the ground, and the trees were blood red. Craven were known to be in the blood forest, and the chapter ends with them stopping and needing to make camp for the night so the horses could rest. And then chapter 30, which is just a whole other chapter, just like the willow tree. Whew. They set up their camp. 4 guards were patrolling while 4 slept. Pretty much the chapter starts with Poppy just saying that she's like shaking and shivering because she's cold. And then Hawk comes over to warm her up. He lays beside her and drapes a blanket over them both. They talk about how Victor informed Hawk of her nightmares after she expresses how she doesn't want anyone to sleep with her. And then he tells her he can help her relax so she can fall asleep because she's super tense. And not believing him, she is quickly shown he was right. He does some over the pants play until she, does the thing. And then the chapter ends as she drifts off to sleep. And that's like a whole entire chapter of the over the pants rubbing action happening.
I know.
Like, it's just a lot. So, yeah, those are the chapter summaries. I think a couple of the chapters were super quick, just like getting a little bit of information out. And
Yeah.
others were a little bit longer.
Yeah. I agree. So much happens.
But yeah, a lot happens, and it was a lot. It was a lot, and I loved it all. Well, not all of it, because poor Victor.
I know, I can't.
The first part in chapter 21, where she's out on the ledge, and he like pokes his head out of the window. It's like, what are you doing?
It's just alive, princess.
I cannot wait to see this as a TV show.
Oh my god, I'd be so excited.
Like, I hope that they stay true to most of the scenes
really
because
yeah,
that moment is gonna be.
do we know, is it Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's Amazon.
It should be good. It should be good. I hope. Oh my gosh, I just loved everything, and it makes such a difference. I'm gonna say it again. Oh, I didn't bring my pills. I'm gonna say it again. Just on the reread, knowing what we know now, it makes it so different.
Yeah.
So different. But I still remember the first reading and being like, oh, like how is he like here, and how like everything is just so
Yeah.
meant to be. But now you know. Sorry, it's probably a bit of a spoiler, but I just don't know how else to say it without saying it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I have a bit of foreshadowing as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to, you can skip like a minute. But this is foreshadowing. It could be a possible spoiler if you have not read the whole series. In chapter 22, it's something super, super small. He says, "You are so violent," and then it says, "Hawk all but purred."
Which I have the same sentence highlighted, and I wrote, we start to see the language description,
Yes.
and I just love it.
Yeah. And I can't believe it's taken like 6 reads to catch some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I also have just noteworthy. When Poppy asks how Hawk knew where she was, he replies with, "I have incredible tracking skills." And this is definitely a spoiler.
Yeah.
So if you have not read A Soul of Ash and Blood, skip this by like a minute. So with that, I wonder if this is just another trait of Atlanteans, or if this is foreshadowing for what we know happens in A Soul of Ash and Blood.
Yeah.
Because it could go either way.
It could go either way.
And how much does he think is Atlantean genes or traits himself when really they're not? And they're this other trait.
Yeah.
But he didn't know, obviously.
No.
So
yes. I know, because he doesn't know.
yeah, so
It's crazy, right? He doesn't know that he knows that.
so he might just think that it's Atlantean traits when really
It's
it's
a lot
not.
more than that.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that.
So I thought that was interesting.
I have down the center said to the guard when he was being interrogated down below, because that's what the guard and the Duke were talking about while Poppy was on the ledge. They didn't believe that the Dark One was in the city, and Hawk replies with, "That's good news."
Yeah.
Knowing what you know, you're like, come on, like, dude. It just makes the reread so much better, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Picking up on all the little stuff.
Because just how good is that as a writer?
Yeah, and especially since even after like you finish the book, that's a lot of this stuff isn't stuff that I personally would ever think back to and think, oh man, I should have like caught that just
Definitely.
after reading it. But rereading it, you're like, man, I missed a
I
lot.
know, right? Oh, and this whole scene where he starts reading Miss Willow's diary out loud and she's like dying. I was like, I just live for this scene. I just live
I
for it.
can't handle it. I visibly like cringe and want to hide
Yeah.
myself. Like I can't, my body can't handle it. I'm like, dear everything. I would just die if I was her. My face would be red. I would get super hot. Like I
Yeah.
would just
And
explode.
something that gets mentioned, I think I wrote they got mentioned 2 or 3 times, is that she notices his dimple.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that just gets referenced like all the time. And it's moving those characters on from noticing a person to actually noticing more
Yeah,
to
things
that
about that.
person.
Yeah.
And like that just starts even sorry with the Hawk all but purred. Like he's changing, she's noticing
Yeah.
things, and it's just so cute. It's just so that cute.
Watching all of that develop.
Which is when Poppy's like, "So have you been in love before?" And then that's just so awkward. It's like you don't really want to know the answer to that. I mean, you don't want to know the answer to that, so don't ask. But then she's confused because she's like, "But you're so young. Like you're probably only a few years older than me. So how have you had a relationship?"
Yeah, like so long ago.
I know. Well,
And also, it's also big of him because, well, yeah, I don't know if I can say that, but it's just big of him to kind of open up about that.
yeah, straight
I
away.
feel like he opens up about a lot.
He does quite quickly,
Yeah,
which I feel like shouldn't be his trait or wouldn't normally be his
yeah,
trait. But with Poppy,
it is.
she just brings it out of him,
Yeah,
and it's too cute.
I know. I love their relationship so freaking much. So under chapter 24, I have noteworthy. This is the willow tree chapter.
Oh yeah,
One, he's got good eyesight and hearing to where he can like see in the dark,
yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
very interesting.
And then especially how she's like, what was it? Her mouth was like gaped open, and she's like, wait, if you can see the bench, you can probably see my face like looking
Like,
a mess with my mouth wide open. So she like closes it real fast. That made me laugh. And then how he gives her permission to stab him should he do anything she doesn't like. I was like, that is
I love.
not something you want to give her permission for, knowing that she's very violent, as he says.
I'm just going to interrupt you and jump back to chapter 23.
Go for it.
So, Poppy and Tawny loving their relationship even more because Tawny is trying to big her up and be like, no, you're in this tailor-made beautiful dress and you haven't seen yourself in the mirror. Like, go and look in the mirror because you deserve to feel beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was just the cutest thing.
And as she's like fussing with herself, Tony's like, stop it. You look great.
I know.
And
We're
also,
best friends.
like at the right where she tells Tawny to go have fun, even though she can't, like, she's not gonna make her sit with her.
I know.
You know,
It's
she
just
also
the
wants her to enjoy
cutest.
herself.
It is so cute. And so for me, this whole section of chapters is just tension starts creeping in like everywhere.
Yeah.
And the biggest tension in that chapter 23 is Agnes, who's like, why are you here? I didn't know you were going to be here. Maybe you shouldn't be here without saying, don't be here.
I know, you could have said something else.
Right? I'm like, I don't know what.
Literally anything else. Besides, oh, I just wanted to thank you.
And when
And
I was
then
reading that, I
be
was just
safe.
like, wait, what? That's really weird. I don't know how much I remember picking up on that in the first read, but obviously the second read, I'm just like, whoa, ladies, let's get out of here.
I don't think on the first couple reads that I ever gave her any
No,
care.
no.
Like, I just thought it was a weird.
But she's such a nice lady for trying to do something. She just didn't try very well.
Yeah. Could have done a lot better, 100%, especially since Victor knew that there was something else there, and then how he was frustrated that he couldn't run after her.
Yeah,
And he's like, where's Hawk?
I know. And then last line from Hawk in this chapter is, I was wrong about you looking lovely earlier. You look,
Oh, yeah!
you look absolutely exquisite, Poppy. Beautiful. And then they go in the garden and hold hands, and it's just adorable.
I know. I swooned so much in so many of these chapters, especially how he's like, I lied about you looking lovely earlier, and then pauses, and then she's like, what?
Just like, excuse me, like I was already like not feeling it.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna like tell me that?
And then he just hits her with that. Oh,
Straight in, punch to the gut. It's like, oh,
it was
oh.
freaking perfect. It was just utterly perfect.
And okay. So back to the 24, they're doing the kissing thing. And I think it's at the end of chapter 24 or 25. And they're walking back up, and Victor's just like, "You look like you've been thoroughly kissed, puppy." And it's like, oh, awkward.
Yep, and she like feels her lips and then looks at the Hawks and
Like,
he's
smother it.
swollen.
That's the best. I just loved it. Yeah.
And the fact that Poppy even like asks him to kiss her, like the guts,
I
woman,
know.
the guts. I give you props.
I give her props too. I like that fearlessness.
I did find some foreshadowing that's not a spoiler because it also happens
Okay, go.
in, I don't think this or the next chapter, but Victor says to Hawk it'll be over his dead body before he spends another moment alone with Poppy. And this is kind of foreshadowing because he literally does die before Hawk spends time alone with Poppy again.
I've never caught that bit.
And I was like,
Oh,
ouch.
that hurts my soul.
Like, I don't know if it was actual foreshadowing that she put in there, like, haha, get ready. But it was
Yeah,
true.
well, I'm sorry, but it's the same thing as Liam.
Mm-hmm.
Victor hurts. He hurts the soul when that whole scene happened, and he died. He died. He had a beautiful death, and the way that he was just begging for forgiveness, and Poppy's like, "There's nothing to forgive you for," and he's like, "Please,
Just say you forgive me,
please
woman.
forgive me." And then she's just like, "I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you," because I don't know what to say.
But also the fact that she couldn't use her gift on him, and that was probably the only thing that she wanted to do and couldn't.
And then she just takes it all out on Lord Mazine.
Yeah. And then also just think that I wonder if honestly like Victor expected her to and has always like wondered what it would feel like, and then he didn't even get that
Get to
either.
see that, yeah. Because that's what he was most sad about, was that he couldn't protect her from the Duke and Lord. And I think when he's just like, well, I'm going to remember this, and then she's just like, ah!
I know, what made him think that that was a good thing to say in that moment when she literally just like stared at him as she was killing the dissenters and was like, watch this, remember this, and then he speaks and says something stupid like that. Like, okay, so you didn't listen to her when she was like, watch me cut this guy's throat open,
Right?
as I stare you down.
Honestly.
Did he not think that she was gonna do something?
Something I did pick up on, it was mentioned twice in that chapter about the dissenters wearing the woven masks, which I don't recall that. When I was listening to that chapter, I was like, oh, I didn't know that they were wearing that. And then when they're in the office and they're being attacked by a few of them, when she pulls out her dagger and one of the dissenters is like, oh, nice dagger. Which, spoiler again, we don't find that out until later on what the dagger actually means. So I'm thinking, was that somebody who was just a dissenter and they had no idea what the dagger was?
Or they
Or was
knew.
that someone who knew what that was? And did that person actually die? Because a lot of people died out of the dissenters that were there and some of them didn't. So yeah, that's pretty interesting, that bit.
I also had never caught the woven masks until this read.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what?
Twice as well, because they were at the front door, she mentions it, and then later on it's when they're actually attacking them in the room.
I didn't notice it then, but I was very overwhelmed with everything that was happening. But I did notice it when they were saying they were like waiting for to come in and everything. And then she described the mask, and I was like, how have I never caught they were wearing woven masks?
No.
So yeah, Victor was heart-wrenching.
I know.
Super, super heart-wrenching. It was so hard to read it this time around. And I was like, oh, Poppy. Like, and then of course with just how powerful Jennifer L. Armentrout writes some of the scenes. She just does it so well. Like,
so well.
The forgive me, I have failed you over and over, and while she's like enacting everything, it gave me goosebumps as I was reading it, because it just makes you kind of feel what she's feeling and not like you're kind of in a trance type of thing. So I freaking I don't know. I loved it so much more than I ever did in the past rereads. Something else that I really loved in the next chapter, chapter 27, was when Hawk told her that it's okay for everything that she's feeling and everything that she's not.
Yeah.
And I was like, that, I feel like that's
So
such an
sweet.
underrated
Yeah.
line from him.
From him. It just like emphasizes so much like where their relationship is already at, and either they don't know it with each other yet,
Yeah.
and like it's just so much.
And especially since she really needed it in that moment. And then she like mentioned how it kind of validates things for her and it also makes her realize that he must know what she's going through,
Yeah.
even if it's not the same, because she never said anything about what she's not feeling, but she was thinking it, obviously, when we see her going through
Mhm.
all of her thoughts in the beginning of that chapter. So it's cool to see him being like, it's okay for whatever you're feeling, whatever you're not. Like,
It's okay.
you're
I
good.
know.
And I was like, God,
It's
this
just so
man.
cute. The Duchess scene though. It makes us kind of like her. We don't really get to see
For
that
a brief
for a
moment.
brief moment. We don't get to see her very much throughout the book so far. Obviously, we get a lot of the Duke and Lord Mazine. So it's nice to actually kind of get a moment with the Duchess and be like, what is she actually really like? But
Yeah.
you also know that she's known what they've done. So you like her for a split second and you're actually like, hang on a minute. No, 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 no. Because she knew the whole time
Mm-hmm.
of what the Duke and the Lord were doing.
Yeah, I think JLA tried to give us kind of not a redemption arc, but just
Something more.
explanation,
Yes.
especially when Poppy says something about how, like, I wonder what she's had to endure because if
Yeah.
he's done all of this and I'm just the maiden, like, what did he do while she was his wife? And same thing with Lord Mazine.
It's true.
And I was like, you know what? I don't think I've ever thought about that in any of the other rereads, but you're right.
Yeah, you are right. But also,
Yeah. It's like you get a split second piece of sympathy, but that's it. That's all you're getting.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy. Because if you did go through all that, why would you want it to happen to someone else?
and what I also want to know is obviously we know that the Duchess and the Lord are ascended. We don't really know what the ascended means, but when she's like, "We'll be fine in here," back in the room, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll be fine in here." Like, she's like, "We will be absolutely fine in here," and then she's like, "They don't do anything. They don't pick up a sword. They
No.
don't do anything." And then she's gobsmacked at Poppy for pulling her dagger out.
Yeah. It's like, what did you expect? You're obviously not gonna friggin' fight.
Exactly. And whether they can or cannot fight, they obviously are allowed to fight.
Yeah.
Because Poppy's the only one who's technically not allowed to fight.
Yep.
And she's the only one that does.
And it's like, what would you have done if they weren't there? They would have just been murdered.
Right? I'm like, what?
Because she was confident that they weren't gonna get in
Was
there.
she gonna step up
That's-
and wait until Poppy was the only one left alive and then be like, now I have to show her who we really are?
I mean, I guess so. I guess that kind of got showed because when the dissenter knocked Poppy down and was about to axe her, the Duchess screamed out, "She's the maiden."
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think.
But Tawny was still alive, so I think
Yeah.
that was why that they didn't like try and fight, maybe because they didn't need to.
I don't know, but that
It's weird,
shows the
though.
Duchess obviously was gonna wait and just use Poppy as leverage,
Yeah. Which
hoping.
I don't enjoy.
Yeah, no. So yeah, she gets a split second sympathy, but that's all she
That's
gets
it.
from me. Chapter 28, I just really liked. This was a pretty short chapter. The banter between Hawk and Poppy at first, where she's like, she's coming with me, and Hawk's like, no, she's not. And she's like, why is he actually acting like a royal guard right now and not like Hawk? Blah blah blah. And then Tawny's like, excuse me, can I just like, may I please speak?
All I have for this is Kieran's back, baby. That's all I have. And I'm so happy. I know we don't get to see him much yet. We really get him later in the other books, but I'm just so happy.
We do love some Kieran.
I do.
Yeah. Kieran's, I think, my favorite character.
And then it's a nice from the Red Wedding, a little Game of Thrones reference there. The right for me was the Red Wedding, the blood wedding that happened. That was a huge whoa that just happened. And lots of people died. Tension was crazy off the charts. Then we get a nice break. And then we're going to go straight back into tension.
Yeah.
Because what was it, chapter 29 with the rats?
Yep.
And stuff.
Rats.
Yeah. I hated that because all I could think was that the horses are gonna die.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, because there's a whole, she's so descriptive about how the horses having to like trample through all
The
the
bones and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, the horses are going to be like attacked from the legs, they're going to be brought down. She's going to describe it. And I still remember feeling all of
Like that anxiety.
yeah. And I just can't. And I was like, the tension was just built way too high. And then going into that chapter 30, whoop whoop, is not only a tension break for Poppy, but also for us as a reader. Because I'm also still sat there going, you know where you are, right?
Yeah.
You're in the middle of like death is all around you. And this is what you choose to do. But I'm also like, okay, actually, I can just breathe for a second.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, I think we're okay.
Like, thank you, Hawk. You touched me too. I
Thank
needed
you.
this.
But yeah, and it's just so much tension that just keeps happening.
I also didn't realize that last scene was over the pants.
No, I didn't until you said it in that review. I didn't either. I thought it was a
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, wait,
full
what?
on under the pants.
Yeah, me too.
situation.
But not once. Yeah, it clearly states like multiple times that it's over the pants, over the pants. And I'm like, since when? I could have sworn. Maybe I'm just dirty. And I was like, nope, he's going straight in.
But can I just also say how much this really starts off the entire book series?
Yeah.
Because wow, do we wow a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets good though.
I think the Willow scene is the best.
I think so.
Just because like all that tension just exploded.
It did.
But yeah, no. This was my favorite section that I think we've done so far. Just because I'm either like grinning or I'm like cringing.
Yeah.
Or I'm sad.
I'm sad. I know. Yeah, the tension. She can write tension like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
She's good at that.
Yeah, I've noticed on this reread, I think just because I'm actually physically reading it now, how well she is with words.
Yeah.
She's a really great writer.
She's amazing. Honestly, one of the best books you could have ever got me for my birthday. Thank you.
Anytime. I am curious, like it does make me want to read the whole series physically, and because the Crown of Gilded Bones is where a lot of people lose interest in this series. And I don't know why.
I did not. I was like, give me more of everything. I mean, also because I was binging it, so I'm so fast.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of if there was ever, but I mean, I listened to it, so it's a different experience, I feel like, than reading it.
Yeah.
So I am kind of curious if I read it, if I still like it as much, or if I see that slowness that so many people talk about. Because I see a lot of people say that they stop reading after the Crown of Gilded, like so many, and I'm like, but how?
So good.
Like so much happens after that book.
Like, do they read the prequel and just like never go back?
Well, and in the prequel, everyone says that it's a carbon copy of FBAA, and I don't see that at all.
I don't see that.
Like, I get that Poppy and Sarah are very similar personality-wise.
And they're supposed to be kind of like a maiden.
Yeah, they're both maidens.
And so I kind of get that, but it's supposed to be.
There's reasons.
I'm like, I don't understand. That makes no sense.
There's reasons for everything, and other than them, they're both maidens, and I don't even think that their personalities are really the same per se. They have similar qualities, but the storyline is so vastly different that I'm like, how is it a carbon copy? Like, you must not actually be reading it.
No, because I'm sorry, there's stuff that happens in the prequels that are like, whoa.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't. My head's not, I'm thinking all of the prequel right now, and I'm like, it's so good.
I think I like the prequel more than I like the regular
I think
series.
I do. Which says a lot because this is already a 5-star up there, way up there.
I would give the prequel 6 stars if I could.
Yeah.
If that was a thing.
I would do that.
Because I love it. I love it
I know.
more than life itself. But yeah. So anyways, that is chapters 21 through 30. Do you have any last?
Nope. I'm excited to get to where we get to next though. It'll be the last chapters of the book, I think. I don't even know what the last chapter is, but I imagine that will be chapter 41, chapter 41, is it? Yeah. So literally last 10 chapters.
We're almost there.
Which I'm excited to keep going. Yeah, chapter 41, the last one. Amazing. So yeah, Tamil, I'm excited to keep going, and I'm actually loving 10 chapters because that's 4 podcasts we've done.
Mm-hmm.
So each book will be about 4 podcasts, which
Yeah.
isn't too bad. But yeah, loving it.
Yeah.
Pork and Poppy, here we go.
Thanks, guys, for reading along if you are, or just tuning in and listening.
Thank you.
Be sure to join our Facebook group.
Yep.
If you haven't so far, it's Books, Brews, and Besties podcast on Facebook. Our icon is the same as it is on here. Yeah, we're going to be doing some giveaways eventually. Also, join our Patreon if you haven't yet either, because we do have a special edition giveaway that's going to be happening on there. So yeah, but thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.